So John, your first couple of days as interim manager under the belt, how have they gone so far?
Yeah, it's obviously never nice when a manager loses their job and more so a friend. So obviously disappointed to see Tim leave. But it's football, it's the nature of the beast, it's all these cliches that we can talk about, but it's it's just one of those things where we have to now focus, and football doesn't stop. We have to focus on Friday and make sure the lads are as prepared as they possibly can be for Friday, and go down to Cork and hopefully come back up the road with 3 points and a good performance.
Yeah, obviously you worked very closely with Tim over the last 18 months, so you know the club very well, you know the squad and the players very well too, which has to be an advantage in your new role.
Yeah, obviously was delighted when Tim got in touch to come in as assistant. It's a fantastic football club, so I was really happy to be here. I've enjoyed working with the group and with Tim and the staff and yourself and all the other guys at the club. It's been fantastic 18 months. But yeah, obviously being in the position and understanding the players that are in the building obviously helps with preparing for games and obviously looking towards the game on Friday. So it's kind of it's that whole cliche again. It's a fresh start kind of for everyone. There's lads that have probably been out of the picture that might come back in, and so it's very much up to the players now to put their hand up to play.
Yeah, I'm sure there is a sense among the players that there might be places up for grabs in the team for Friday. We'll discuss the injuries maybe in a couple of moments, but when someone new comes in, even though you have been here, you're the boss now and you'll be picking the team on Friday, so I'm sure the lads in training this morning and again tomorrow will be staking their claim to be in that 11.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously a lot of preparation going into the Cork game now. We've obviously had a debrief on Sligo and where we felt it went wrong, and areas we can improve, the little moments that we had in the game where we maybe could have done a little bit better. So we're fully focused on it, and the lads all trained well today, and obviously I have that selection headache now of trying to pick the team and trying to put a team on the pitch that I feel is capable of winning.
Just in terms of you being appointed interim manager, things moved quite quickly from the match on Monday to Tim leaving the club on Tuesday morning, you being appointed. How did that come about, and what was in your own head in terms of having those discussions and making that decision to take over?
Yeah, well, obviously went really quickly. As a manager assistant, you have a lot of conversations. I spoke to Tim in the morning and he hadn't really heard anything, and then I got a call back 10 minutes later to say he was meeting the chairman. So I think you can, we've been in football a long time, so you kind of know where that conversation is maybe going to go. I obviously went down and met Gareth then afterwards, and we just had a conversation about obviously where the club wanted to go and what they want to do. And from my point of view, I'm obviously an employee of the football club, and I know Tim obviously brought me in as an assistant. So he asked me if I could step in the short term, and I said that's fine, it's no problem at all. How long that will be in charge, I don't know. How long is a piece of string? So we'll just wait and see how it pans out and how it goes, and then I think if it's myself or somebody else comes in, they're coming into a good group of players and a team that we believe can definitely be fighting at the top end of the table.
You've had a very hands-on role over the last 18 months as assistant manager, working very closely with Tim and the other staff, but what will the key differences be now going from the assistant to being the manager even on an interim basis?
I think the obvious one is that you're now the decision maker. Obviously, as an assistant, as a coach, you're always there to be a sounding board for the manager. The same now what I'll expect off Sean and PJ and the other staff is, they'll give their opinions, but ultimately now you're the one that has to make that final call and final decision on what the team do. So that's probably, without going into much detail, that's probably the biggest change of my role, is now that I'm not just giving my opinion to Tim, I'm now probably being the one that, I will listen to other people, but ultimately I'll be the one that makes that final call on what happens.
As you mentioned, things like this happen in football, managers change quite often in the industry, but how have the players reacted? How did they train this morning, and how's the mood in the group? There's obviously been a couple of defeats in a row, and the manager's changed as well. Yeah,
it's obviously a funny one. It's in terms of you go from one day working with someone to the next day they're not there, and I think for a lot of the players as well, I think we can sometimes forget it's a young group. There's a lot of young players in the squad, and ultimately this is probably their first experience of working at a football club where a manager's being relieved of his duties. So there's one or two experienced ones in the room that have experienced it. I've experienced it myself as a player on numerous occasions. I've experienced it as a coach a couple of times now. So it's never nice. But as I said earlier, it's one of those things. You just need to get back on the horse and go again, and just just try and get a reaction for Friday. And I think one of the things from me, I just obviously spoke to the group this morning about little kind of things I expect from them as the manager. I obviously had demands on them as the assistant, as their coach, but they might be increased as the manager now. And I just made it kind of perfectly clear what I expect for however long, whether that's 1 game, 2 games, or whatever. You know, the little things that I expect of them, the little things they can expect from me. So, and then obviously expect off each other as a group. So yeah, we're obviously looking forward to Friday. We need to obviously just get over the disappointment of the last few games, of the news that's just happened. So yeah, it's a weird industry in that sense, that you need to just deal with stuff like this and kind of be quite emotionless about it.
You've been interim manager before a couple of times at Hearts. How will that experience help you in this one?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say fortunately, but I've been in this situation before where it's been this way, where a manager has been let go and you step in. You know, I think at that time the difference maybe was I was with the under-20s and you're not working with the group, so it's probably a new face coming in and a new voice. So I think the difference is I know the players, I know what they're capable of, and I know what they can do. I told them this morning again, you know, as we've spoken to them numerous times before, we believe in the group that's in here. So I think the biggest difference is that it's probably players I've worked with full time. The situation is similar, that it can be a low group and a low mood. And the other time I'd done it at Hearts was obviously where the manager left and went after a positive time. So that time it's obviously a lot easier. You're going in and you're just keeping the wheels rolling while the club look for a new manager. So that one was obviously a lot easier.
Is it hard, or how hard is it, should I say, to change the momentum and the mood of a group? Like, we started the season with a great draw against Derry, a victory against Shells, then it was 3 defeats, then it was 4 wins in a row, we're up to 2nd, then it's 3 defeats in a row and we're down to 7th. It's been such, you know, I suppose, an up and down run so far, and I suppose it's up to you guys now to help the mood of the players and their confidence heading into Friday.
Yeah, 100%. Our job is to try and put a team on the pitch that can win. Obviously it's been hampered with injuries to key players in you know, unfortunately the same area of the pitch. It's not something that, you know, the manager previously or I have really come out before and kind of spoke about and moaned about, because that's football. You lose players, you lose key players, but you know, to lose kind of Harry Brockbank at the start of the season, then to lose Tom Ghreavosty after a couple of games, and then obviously to lose your captain, you know, all centre backs. You know, it's put a lot of kind of reliance on 3 young centre backs, and to be fair, they've went in, they've done their best. You know, they're quite inexperienced, so you're going to get situations where they've never faced before, so they're kind of learning as they go along. So it's our kind of job to try and help them with that and try and protect them as much as we can with that. So yeah, so like, I think the group, they're a good group. They want to do well. They want to do well for the fans. They want to do well for themselves, for their families, for us as a staff, and I don't just mean the football staff. I mean everybody at the club, because it is a tight knit group. So you know, they're not a bad group, and I think they will get a reaction, and hopefully that starts on Friday. Yeah,
great to see Joe Redmond back at Richmond the other night. Of course, the previous couple of away games he was recuperating from his surgery, so even though he's going to be out for a little while, to have the likes of Joe back around the group as well. You mentioned the other couple of boys who are out injured too, but Joe particularly as the captain, to see him back, albeit on crutches, the other night, just to be around the group is nice, and I'm sure you'll try and use him as you see fit as he does his recuperation and his recovery with Sam Rice. Yeah,
100%. Like, Joe's a big character around the group, and a lot of lads look up to him, and he's been a massive player over the last 18 months since I've been here. So just to have him around the group and back in, as you said, on crutches, it's obviously not great, but just to have him there, he's a good one for lads to go and speak to, and he'll G the boys up as well. So it's great to have him back in around the squad, and just coming in on a day-to-day basis now.
The other injuries, goalkeeper Danny Rogers still progressing well. The finger, though, is a difficult one for a keeper because you can't really train much when you've got, you know, a serious finger injury as he's had, but his recovery is coming along nicely.
Yeah, so he's kind of back on the pitch with PJ doing a little bit of handling and stuff like that, just light handling, and he hasn't joined back in with the group fully yet. He's kind of filled in as maybe a floater, which isn't the worst thing for him in terms of you know, using the ball at his feet and stuff like that. And I think he thinks he's Pirlo now, you know, getting on the ball. So no, he's done okay, and he does look like he's on the road to recovery. So it'd be good to get him back in fighting and pushing for a place and putting pressure on the other two lads.
Jamie Lennon missed Monday with a tight quad, and Ties Timmermans went off as well, so that's a couple of midfielders now. I know we're in the middle of the week, so you'll be checking on them and hopeful that they'll be available for selection on Friday, because of course Owen Doyle, one of the attacking players, will serve a ban after his red card. Yeah,
obviously Doyler's another big player and a big character in the group and great experience. You know, as I said, in such a young squad, to have someone like that again can bounce ideas off players and give information and you know, speak about his experiences and stuff with them. It's great to have someone like that, but unfortunately we're going to miss him. But again, he was in training today, trained well. Lenny probably should be back. It was a tight quad, so we're hoping that he's back again, another big player. And 𝗀𝗧 obviously went off, he rocked his ankle, but I think it's something he's done previously, so I don't think it's as kind of bad as first feared. So we're hopeful that, you know, he could be available for selection also.
I know you were straight on the laptops on the way home last week looking at the Sligo clips, and I'm sure also you're back on Cork now. Maybe you were even before the game on Saturday, along with Graham Kelly, the analyst. What's your assessment of them? They've had a tough couple of weeks themselves, but they're a good squad. They're particularly at home with the big home crowd behind them. What are you expecting from the game, etc.?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's always a difficult place to go, and I think the crowd down there are fantastic. They always supported him in big numbers. I think watching the game back against Bohemians up until the red card, they were very much in the game. Bows obviously scored a fantastic free kick from the red card. After a minute, very much like Richmond, they had a great chance after maybe a minute and a half with 𝗜𝗡𝗧𝗘𝗥𝗓𝗏 against Bows, so Talbot made a good save. And then there was a situation obviously where the ref called play back where, you know, they were running through. I think it was Coffey was running through. So we won't underestimate them. We don't underestimate anyone in the league. But it's a game that we're going to be fully prepared for, and we're going to be going into it, should I say, with the view on 3 points, and as I said, a good performance. Yeah,
you mentioned yesterday when we announced you as interim manager that you were looking for a reaction from the players. You've seen that in training this morning. I'm sure you'll see it again tomorrow, and hopefully at 7:45 on Friday you'll see it again.
Hopefully, yeah. I think these kind of moments when these things happen, there can be a bit of confusion. Lads can kind of be worried about themselves and about what's going on. So it's just giving them clarity that, like, for this game, we just need to focus on this game and not to worry about anything after that, whether, you know, we're worrying about themselves or worrying about my position. It's focusing on this game. That's all we can control at this moment in time, and making sure that, like you said, we get that reaction. I think we haven't been to the levels that we can play at the last couple of games, and it's important that we get back to them levels and show that we are a good team, because I believe we are a good team when we play to the levels that we are more than capable of playing to.
And lastly, John, a lot of the supporters will be watching and listening to this. We had 4,200 in Richmond for a Bank Holiday Monday fixture on Monday just gone. Over 400 away tickets sold for Cork on Friday. Tickets still available. The link is on the St. Pat's website. No away tickets will be on sale at the ground, folks, so you must get them via the Cork website, but they're on our website, if that makes sense. But yourself and the staff and the lads know you'll need and get their continued support, because they have been brilliant, and they'll be down there in big numbers again on Friday.
Yeah, I think home and away they've been fantastic. You know, I think, if I'm being honest, and I spoke to the players, I think it was a weird one on Monday. Whether it was the 3 p.m. kickoff, it just had a real subdued atmosphere. Now I know that works kind of both ways. That, you know, we need to give the fans something to cheer about, and make sure that what they're seeing on the pitch is a good product that they can sing and they can get themselves up for it. But, you know, I think on the flip side of that, it's really important that if they're seeing something that, you know, is happening on the pitch and they see the lads are maybe a bit flat, sometimes it can work the other way as well, you know. And I think it's really important that they continue to give us that support that we've had all season, because they've been excellent, really have. And I think the singing section and stuff like that have been magnificent. The lads really appreciate it. I know I appreciate it. I know the previous manager appreciated it, and the staff. So I think it's important, first and foremost, that we give them something to go and support, and we'll obviously go from there.